Our speaker has dedicated her career to helping leaders and organizations think and act globally. Yukta Kandhari is a strategist who has chaired more than 100 international conferences, led cross border initiatives with organizations like X Culture and AIESEC, and advised founders and educators on clarity, culture, and communication. She has also shared her expertise on international management and cross cultural leadership at institutions like Harvard and Northeastern University. In her session, Yukta will explore what it really takes to build communities that thrive across cultures, time zones, and borders. She'll share how AI is reshaping global connection, plus practical strategies for building trust, inclusivity, and engagement in diverse spaces. Please join me in welcoming Yukta Kandhari.
Thank you so much, Beth, for an amazing introduction. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, we can see you, we can hear you. You look great.
Thank you so much. So I think love to dive deep into how entire culturalism works. And since this is a global platform, I mean, we are connecting from different time zones. So I think this is the best time for each one of us to talk in detail about what is shaping up, how are we able to connect, why time zones actually do not matter right now, and exactly what shapes the basic understanding of us building a space which is more belonged, and it just not feels that it's for me, but it's for us and it's for you. So it would never be me centered, but it would be community and service before self.
Fantastic. I can't wait. Take it away. And you're right. This is the perfect time and place because there are a lot of people from all over the world watching right now. And you're right, time zones don't matter. Some people are drinking a glass of wine, some people are drinking a cup of coffee. It's perfect.
Okay,
That's
so
good.
I hope this is visible. Perfect. So, communities today, as we know, are born global by default. Now, when I say they're global by default, is because we have people coming from different parts of the world connecting at different places. So, you've no idea that the person you're interacting with in an online space maybe lives in the same space, studies in the same university, is in the same worker environment as you, but their cultural orientations are so different from yours. They come from a different background altogether, which maybe we never thought that we should explore. And that's the problem wherein we cannot connect with people, and that's when the initial establishment of any community drops before even it started. So this is the seven model which I talk about. It's called Trompener's model of deep diving into understanding. So community is about people, no matter how much technologically advanced we would become. But if we would lose out the nuance of us being humans, us being rationally people out there, it would really not make sense for any of us out there. So if you have a look at this is a seven-way model which talks about Trompener's seven dimensions. Now, of course, complicated term, but this is how you actually bifurcate the seven areas to understand the person and the community you interact with, whether that be offline or online. Keep the same logic, you would feel more open. Universalism versus particularism. So, whether a culture is based on rules and standards or relationship and trust. For example, if I come from an Asian background, would I trust people? It's more like the coconut, like the hard shell and the soft shell. So, is someone more of like a peach person or a coconut person? That means hard outside, soft inside, or soft outside but hard inside. So you need to understand this with the first universalism versus particularism, and that would easily you'd get to know by the places that they've been to or where they come from. Then individualism versus collectivism. So whether a culture focuses more on the group or the individual. Now that is how you would align your values with the community's values, and that gives you a window to connect with people in the community as well. So are you coming from an individualistic mindset that hey, let's do this just because I feel it's the best, or hey, let's do this because the group feels it's the best? For example, business communities like BNI, TICON, a lot of other business communities that you've been a part of, international student organizations, your own clubs out there, what do they focus on? What are they focusing on the group, or are they focusing on an individual person's interests? That is becoming the driving force of the entire community. This helps you identify this segment very nicely. Then neutral versus effective. So whether a person within a culture expresses one's emotion openly or not. So let's say I am a very expressive member in the community talking to people. You need to understand is am I actually trying to express my emotions openly, or I'm just trying to reflect what is thrown at me? Now that's why it's again people first. Specific versus diffuse, that's the fourth one. So whether the public and private life are closely linked or not. I mean, do I want to keep it separate or keep it together? For example, like even in Europe, French are different from Germans. I mean, I had no idea Germans are so direct. I was trying to like beat around the bushes because I didn't want to sound condescending, and the person was like, "Hey, I know you did not like the work. I'm going to work on that." You know, it was like a 30-second conversation. You stretched it to 1 minute 30 seconds. I was like, cool. It was not something that anyone liked, including me. Please work on that. Then achievement versus ascription. So whether a culture rewards according to one's performance or one's age, status, or gender. For example, I won't respect you just because you're elder to me, but I would respect you because you've achieved something, because you've done something. If I'm driven by that motivation, you will be connecting with me in that area. And that's how you'll be connecting with people in your community. Then time, sequential versus asynchronous. So whether people tend to do one thing at a time or several things at once, trust me, you need to be very specific with this. Like some people love multitasking, some people prefer that, hey, I want to immerse in deep work. For example, I was reading this book, Deep Work by Cal Newport, and Cal is very specific. I mean, you should not multitask. However, he also talks about CEOs and professionals like Jack, who has been leading some venture capitals, how he's working with all these areas. Then inner directed versus outer directed. So to what extent do we control our environment, or does our environment control us? So how much aware the people are out there, that would define the overall experience of the community and the members. So these seven areas, if you've identified, specifically when you are establishing the founding team for a community or trying to like make it broad, focus on these. Then the five whys. Building a community globally is not easy, is because we would never understand the context. The reason we suffer with retention, higher churn rates, people just are not responsive, is because we did not work on the five whys. For example, if it's a global community of founders across borders, so I have specified it's for founders building a global audience, and they have like these are six criteria, but I need to ask the five whys. For example, I have people from Africa, China, the States. For example, why did you choose to move to the USA? I mean, like you could have done something. Why did you choose to establish a set of your company over here? How do you like working with people usually? What is one stereotype you think people have for Africa? And these are different questions for different people, but try to dive deep. Why did you choose to move to States? Oh, okay. I mean, what are the kind of things that you'd like to work about? What is your perspective about this idea? If you had to launch the same product maybe in China, how would you do that? So these would give you an aspect or an understanding of the previous seven dimensions that I talked about, and that's how you qualify people for your community. So that is how you would match the alignment that, hey, are we working? Are we gelling together? Maybe not. So, hey, you can reapply. That's how our communities become exclusive spaces, and we fight the basic problem that is retention and churn. So, you would have higher retention rates, people would not like to leave, is because we are doing these first screening checks in the beginning, identifying that the kind, like, we're choosing our tribe selectively and consciously. And these are some hacks to sustain engagement across time zones. Whether it's like 500 people, 100 people, 50 people, it works the same way. And specifically, as I've seen the previous speakers also talk so much about AI. So it is about AI, yes, but how do we work on that? So async versus live interactions. In any community, keep it async, but keep it live. Do not let the live die. The reason why I say this is because if you do not balance both, people would start feeling disconnected. It's because you are not building the next Instagram, you're not trying to build the next WhatsApp, you're trying to build a community for people wherein it is about exchange of values, thoughts, maybe gossips, Of course, I mean, could be anything. And for one reason, like I know that like Americans do not talk about money, religion, and politics. Now I can say it's because I bombed myself in Colombia once, and that was awful. So, but irrespective of that, there was a live interaction that taught me how can I balance that entire class async and live. Use note takers, and then transcript all of the conversations that you've had on these platforms into ChatGPT or Claude. Once you've transcribed it, you would get to know what are the things that people are liking, what are the things that people are not liking, how are they engaging, what are their engagement patterns, and this would give you an easy sense of conversation, like the conversation that flows around in the community quite easily. Automating community ops, I mean, that's like the backend automation. All the things that we are doing, we need to use tech to make it happen. GHL, HubSpot easily helps you sort the entire experience, but always attach a 10-minute check in. You can use a calendar to automate that. We need to make people feel belonged in that entire space. That 10-minute check-in just keeps us stay connected to people. For example, there's a great guy you would know in the startup space, Ben Lang. He's been building Curtain. It's a great AI tool. He always opens his 10-minute check-in slots for his community. Why is because people would feel belonged, stay connected, and be a part of the newsletter. So even if the main offering of that community is newsletter, people would read that. The newsletter would not go into spam. Is because even after all the automation, the human touch is still there. You can keep it 5 minutes if you value your time, like time is to value ratio, and there are more members. But these 10 minutes check-ins are like the key. Use one tool and integrate others. For example, I say that Zapier is like your bridge connecting different buildings. So if you're using a different CRM, if you're using something else, Zapier is like a bridge connecting different tools all together. So use one tool and integrate others. So stick with, like for example, one universally accepted community tool for your audience. For example, Discord might be the best tool for consumer tech founders in states in the UK. It's because every day they use Discord to connect with each other, speak, communicate, whatnot. Then use, as we're using this one tool and then integrating, so then you can use Zapier to like integrate the flows, use Notion to like share data. Could be like Bevy is the best tool for like X kind of people is because it's more friendly in that way. So let's say all the community people, those who are a part of community, we love Bevy. We love CMS as a platform. Why is because this makes us feel more connected and we love the UI of it. So that is how you identify that what kind of people are going to like what kind of platform. You can also make your own voice agents and characters to make the entire global experiences fun so that you can get to know where I come from, what kind of ideas. If, like, we talk about diversity being so important, diversity, inclusivity, DEI, hirings happen globally because of DEI. But how do you actually make the person feel diversely inclusive, yet they know that they're a part of an exclusive diversity? So you can use Claude or Suno, make these own voice agents. ChatGPT had that, but it discontinued 4 hours back. And this tells you about your personality as well. So your personality has tones which are reflected in a global space. So you would feel that you are a part of something that's bigger than you and more purposefully aligned just by trying to use your personality. And this like takes 30 minutes to like make your own voice agents, characters which depict different emotions of your own life. File organization. Trust me, this saves us chaos. Use Notion, Dropbox, Asana. Choose one again, or any other tool that is easy to use. So why I specifically focus on like tools like Notion, Dropbox, like is because the more organized our communities look like, it is easier for members to navigate spaces. I mean, for example, if I talk about we are building an international window between China, the UK, and States. So, for example, WhatsApp is banned over there. So now, if you try to link anything with WhatsApp, it's not going to work. So you need to use a tool that's like acceptable in different firewalls, yet it is not complicated to use. Then scheduling. This is the best way to like schedule things when you talk about async and live interactions. 8 a.m. EST is a global time. Why? So people in the Americas start fresh in the morning. Europeans, Africans are midday work, mostly productive, like it's like 3 p.m. BST for them or 1 p.m. BST. Asians wrap up their day, able to share updates before signing off, like 5:30 p.m., like with 5:30 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. for them. So it's somewhere easier to connect most of the people at a certain time at 8 a.m. EST. Complicate your backend, never your members' front end. Use workflows to automate, but only give 4 touch points for your community members. Now, why is it there? Because the more complicated experiences you would provide, it is easier for me to drop off. Even though I feel that I'm connected or aligned to the vision, I would feel that the platform is so complicated, I'm not able to interact with anyone. I have no idea what's going on. So, this would just make the experience a bit complicated for all the people out there. Give them partnership benefits. Platform complicates the experience. The more partnerships you can bring in from different parts of the world. For example, in South America, you say that Brazil, or like maybe you're building a football club. So if you can bring in, let's say, Arsenal T-shirts, football fans do not hate me. I'm just giving an example. I'm very neutral towards it. So let's say you're talking about Chelsea, Arsenal, Manchester. Italy has their own clubs. So the more partnerships you can provide to that football community in terms of experiences, the more language benefits, the more easier it is for connecting with people. It's very similar to how Coldplay used different ticketing platforms when they were doing different shows globally. So they used, I think, Ticketmaster for most of the West. They used some other tool which I also wanted to use. I forgot the name, but for South Korea and Hong Kong, different languages I couldn't book my tickets. They used Book My Show for doing shows in India. So the concept was doing shows, but the way they scheduled the experiences for people offline was so different, so that it feels locally connected yet global. So we can call them local experiences. Then share via media. So build an immediate media engine that showcases the multicultural and global aspect of your community. Why? The more delay you have, since there are different time zones, people would feel like more disengaged. It's like, hey, if I call you and say, could you please share that immediately with me? The immediate response makes you feel more connected and gives you a sense that, hi, I'd like to come back to this place, is because I really loved the customer service, the customer experience, the way people interacted, and the service. I mean, why fast food is famous is because it's quick service. Like, you ask for food on one hand and you get food on the other hand. So the more media engines are diversified and immediate, it builds a better media branding engine globally. The basic nature of humans, as we know, is attention and recognition. And we all know that. So even in the personal spaces, the more we want attention and recognition, in the community spaces, we demand it more. So each one of us wants to feel that specific space for all of us. So you can use AI as a content engine to make it about them, not you. So the more you're talking about other cultures or the things that other people are doing, showcasing them, using these media engines and your platform to be a PR space which talks about their achievements first before yours. So this can makes them connect to the communities better, and they would keep coming is because they would every time feel rewarded for whatever they've been doing. I hope all these like 4 key areas have been of help. And let's jam. You can connect with me via email, and I run a podcast as well called Founders Across Borders. So you can see how founders have been building these communities and businesses out there for people, and how they've been scaling these spaces. If you have any questions, I mean, I'd like Beth to be here so we could open the platform for questions as well.
Yes, thank you very much, Yukta. Wow, there's so many. I mean, there's so many tips, obviously, for connecting across global communities. But I do really appreciate you like breaking down the tools that you're using. That's fantastic. Okay, yes, there are a handful of questions. One, of course, is me, because I'm just sitting here listening, like jaw open, like, oh my gosh, I never thought of it that way. My question: what is one tool or practice that you use to make sure that everyone feels heard?
So, one tool and practice that I use is always communicating. So, let's say we do an online event, we immediately say that we are going to recognize the most active people out there. So, let's say we are building like all the people have been connected on WhatsApp. So, there is a one person out there who's recognizing people out there. Will take a note and immediately start recognizing people that, hey, thank you for this question. Hey, thank you for doing this. And the more resources or the more value that individual person provides to the community, the more recognition that they get in the community. So that's how people get to know them, the value, their value gets recognized, and they would want to like share more and curate these different experiences. So I'd say like leadership substitution. So then it just not just becomes about like about the host, like someone who's hosting or the speaker, but about many to one engagement.
Yeah, cool. I actually love this question from Mariana. What universal human characteristics or behavior have you observed in communities so far?
Oh, wow, I love the question. So, as I said, we're all humans at heart and core. One thing is absolutely the sense of belonging. So, the more you would feel involved and you would feel that people care for you or people support you, you would want to come back. One reason that I like this is a quote that I've always said, that the reason I got into communities is because community was a space wherein people there had been times wherein people supported or believed in me more than I believed in myself. And if that engagement or that space is there for people, they're gonna come back. The second would all obviously be a universal trait, that is attention. So you would see a few people being very engaged, being moderators, or like now engaging in so many communities, specifically as admins, and they were like members, like joining 3 months back and now out there. So it's called the concept of value ladder. So they feel in their minds, the more value they provide, the more people they are going to impact, and the people are going to like them. So the likability context, if that is higher in any culture, they would stay longer in that community. So if I'm providing value and you're like, hey, I'm liking you as a person, and in my head, I'm climbing my recognition ladder one step at a time. So I'd be a part of that community more often. And the third space would be I won't talk about emotions just because everyone perceives emotions very differently. But the third area in general would be the, I'll say, understanding the spaces. So, for example, if you have identified based on like what are the basic traits of this person, and you try to create a customized experience for them, like semi customized, so that makes them stay longer. Is because they would feel that I have like people who respect my space and they understand where I come from. So if you can identify the roots of someone, is because no matter how globally connected we are still somewhere influenced by a certain influence of our own cultures. So if we can identify, like it's a very nuanced space, but a few community moderators are very good at identifying them with the introduction calls that they do. So that is like a perspective that makes people stay there.
Yeah. Again, it's very simple, isn't it? And like the global I guess like the thing that we all have in common makes a lot of sense and like why we're all drawn to community, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Okay, Amber has a great question. First, she says this is really helpful info for us who are not just promoting a brand, but are building conscious culture for helping empower community members. What are a few of the greatest mistakes that people can make when bringing multicultural folks together?
It would always be not understanding the perspective and treating everyone same. I mean, the more stereotypes, like if you start stereotyping people immediately, they would feel a disconnect. There is like a great speaker. She's a Nigerian, and she gave a TED talk called as "The Danger of a Single Story." So she explains how there is a certain stereotype that people have for Africans. Like people said Africa as a country, but it's not a country, it's a continent. So but you have different countries in Africa. There was a time when even like I was a kid and even I said that, yeah, South Africa is what like they're like, no, South Africa is not like South Africa, it's a country in Africa. I was like, oh, I'm glad that I didn't make that blunder on a global stage, but in a classroom. So I think if the less we stereotype people that if you come from this place, you are going to be like this, they'd feel immediately boxed in that space, and they would not communicate. Or they would not creatively be involved in the communities because they already know that you have an unbiased preconceived notion for them, and because of that, even if they had a different side, they would never be able to show that. So instead of having a preconceived notion, ask questions initially, ask them to engage more and tell them, like they should be talking more about themselves instead of you telling them that these are the guidelines that we follow in a community. Before giving them those guidelines, talk to them, ask them questions, and then slightly, if you have like a certain flow of your community, just slide that across, but not boxing them or saying that, hi, this is something you have to follow, because they'll feel you're stereotyping them.
True. I also, that reminds me as well of like just being patient with yourself, because like there will be times when you don't know the nuances of what, if it's a province or a town or a city. Like think of Holland and the Netherlands, and like I'm going to use it wrong. I still will, even though I have been taught the difference of what all these words mean, and like the provinces versus the states versus the regions. So just being patient with yourself, because you're not meant to know everything. So I think that being patient and open-minded when someone says
Right.
you're wrong, don't take it personally. Just be like, well, yeah, because I don't know everything.
Yeah, you're not ChatGPT, right?
That's right. And even ChatGPT doesn't know everything.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that it makes me think of kind of like one of the first times, and maybe this is a naive realization that I had. But we had a CMX Connect director in Iran, and there was a time when I was messaging him and emailing, and I wasn't hearing back at all. And I was like, "Hey, are you not interested in our program anymore? Like, hello, you have to respond." Uh, and then months later, he responded and told us that he just wasn't, like, the government cut off access to the internet for a few months. So he just was unable to message us anymore. And in that moment, I mean, that was early on in my community career, but it was like, oh, Beth, like, it's the patience. You have to slow down. You have to, assume positive intent. Yeah. Anyway, so that was kind of my like first realization of running a global community is definitely different, and there's some new challenges involved.
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes you would find the person is not responsive. Sometimes there are more active people, but you would identify that they are not more active or like they are dominating is because the other people sometimes did not feel heard. And that's the reason the motivation immediately dropped for them. So it's not that they are not creative, but they did not feel that they're contributing and they're not heard. And that's why they're like, if fine, if these are like, I'll do less and let the other people contribute more. So the motivation dynamics immediately change just based on how they're perceived in other people's minds as well, or the kind of access and resources, as you mentioned, like the guy in Iran had no access to the internet. We did not know about it, but we would assume
Mm.
he's not active. Maybe he would be the best CMS director we ever had, doing the maximum events in Iran, but we just immediately did not recognize that.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's a really cool opportunity because at the end of the day, I mean, I'm just sitting here in my dining room, and I can talk to everyone in the world. I get a chance to like build relationships with people from places I never otherwise would be able to meet folks from, and like truly building relationships. When I see people's names pop up in our chat or in my DMs on Bevy, it's just so cool that you get to lead a global community and you get to make these relationships with people.
Oh, absolutely. Before we part ways, I'm so grateful that you're leading such an amazing experience for people, and I truly love the work and engagement that you've been able to build over the years. I mean, it's an inspiration on its own.
Well, thank you very much, Yukta. On that note, thank you for joining us. Thank you, everyone who popped into the Q&A and shared their perspectives in the chat. This was a very fruitful conversation, and we're really grateful to have you, Yukta.
Thank you so much, Beth. I'll see you.